Cheers, everyone. Here's my cleverly titled Yappy Hour, which I was going to call it that because I was going to yap a lot. But then Lauren just informed me moments ago that her friend also called her Facebook Live event a Yappy Hour because there were lots of dogs. So, oh well. Cheers. I'm drinking a Manhattan with bullet bourbon and forget the, it's like a, yeah, it's like a, shoot, the bitters, Scrappy's bitters, and like a cheap vermouth. It's not a super fancy one. Anyway, cheers. So I'm sitting here in my office, which I think only a couple of you have seen. So I basically have my computer is over here. There's the entrance from the kitchen over here, and then another door to the bathroom. It's a pretty narrow room, but I think it works out pretty well for me. I like it a lot. It gives me enough room for a couch, like a little desk, which I have the camera hooked onto right here, a bookshelf in the corner. I'd say it's maybe 7 feet wide by, like, I don't know, 15 or 16 feet long. It's kind of narrow in terms of that sort of thing goes, but yeah. So I'm against my favorite shelf here, which has my VHS collection, my records, my photography books, and you can't see it because it's way down here, but I have a formidable collection of laser discs. So I might bust out some of that stuff. But I also have a lot of other artsy, nerdy stuff around too, which I've been collecting forever, since I lived in Wisconsin to when I moved out here to California. I'll get some of this stuff out of the way first. I don't know if Facebook will let me show this stuff or not. Maybe I'll just show the covers. When I was in school, I was doing a series of I guess you would call them pinup portraits, like pinup photos. So I actually bought a whole bunch of pinup photography, which I use for research, you know what I'm saying, to figure out lighting and stuff like that. So I ended up buying all these. Let me back up. I actually found a magazine store in San Francisco. I forget what it was called. It was like something press or letterpress something. And they had really old magazines and stuff they were selling for like $1. So I bought all these old, they weren't Playboys, but they were like kind of the skin mags, like the Caper magazine that has all the old comics and stuff on it. But you have, like, you know, lots of articles, love letters, these great, like, comics and artistic stuff. But then, so I've got Caper and Sable. And Follies, so it's all a bunch of stuff I bought when I was in school. Speaking of that, I also bought a bunch of stuff when I was looking into getting into advertising photography. Hey Des, how are you? Oh, I can't wave to you. Oh, there we go. So I also have this old archive magazine, which is from, like, boy, it's got to be 2010 probably, or 2009. So this, which is like full of like all the current like advertising photography trends and all that stuff. Really good stuff in here. So that's kind of stuff about what I was in school, but I also have a ton of, like, a ton of photography and fine art books. So let me just start with, I guess, my favorite, which is this guy, this fucking crazy guy called Gregory Crutzen, and he does these gigantic photographs, both literally and figuratively. He gets like indie film crews to work on them, and he shuts down blocks of a city to capture a single image, and spends like 3 or 4 full days capturing image. And the crazy part is he shoots all of this on like large format film, and I don't mean like the medium format stuff that I was showing you guys yesterday. Like that's pussy stuff compared to this. Like uh, he uses like 24-inch by 24-inch like film cameras, like sheet cameras. Uh, there's a great documentary on him called Brief Encounters that you should check out if you haven't. I mean, Brief Encounters is the name of the film. Again, the guy's name is Gregory Crewdson, so like if you're wanting to see some cool art, you should check that out. He has 2 books. They're kind of hard to find these days, and they're a little expensive because they're really big, but super worth it. One of my other favorites that I have around here, I have Dan Winters' book, which, big fan of Dan Winters. He was a huge influence on me in terms of like, one of the reasons I wanted to get into building sets and stuff and spaces to work in for environmental portraits is because of him. Let me see if I can find a specific example here. Because he did this really great portrait of Denzel Washington. That's super cool and inspired me a lot. Oh, yeah, I can't find it. Oh, come on, I know it's in here. He uses a studio in New York City. I think he's in New York still, and he builds like these little corners of rooms, and they're freaking crazy. I'm having a hard time finding what I'm looking for, what I'm wanting to find right now, but you just have to take my word for it, and you can look it up as well. Yeah, actually, that is the full collection of the original Star Trek movies behind me on the wall here, or on the shelf, all on VHS. It's the box set. Just moved. Yeah, it's the box set that has Star Trek 1 through 6, the original movies. My parents had like 1 or 2 of these, and I always thought that was really dumb. So when I saw this whole box set at like Salvation Army or something, I just bought all of them because it's like that sounds like a great thing I should have. Let's see. Talk about what else I have here. I recently had the fortune of going into a local store and picking up an original copy of Pink Floyd's The Wall for like $2. It's got the gatefold box and an original receipt for some like rental store. But it's the MGM USA VHS, Pink Floyd's The Wall, and in a really cool case. I got that like a couple weeks ago, actually, not too long ago. So yeah, I have Star Trek. A lot of these movies are actually from my parents' house in Wisconsin. Before I moved out here, I brought them all with me. So like, Star Trek is from home. A bunch of these appear from home. My dad really liked the Western movies like Shane and that sort of thing. And then some other great stuff. Like I've got 2 copies of Star Wars. I've got one which is the CBS Fox release, which is kind of the first version. But then there's like a re-release, which is Star Wars in a slightly bigger box. I'll show you. So this is the CBS Fox release of Star Wars. This was actually released first. And this is like, there's no like weird CGI things that are added in later. Like this is the original release that they put out. And then this one I got because I just loved. It's like a little wider than a typical VHS box, so it's a little harder to find. And also the tape slides out from the side in a little drawer. So that was kind of a fun find. I found all this stuff at like Goodwill, that sort of thing, for like $1. But one of the more odd ones I have like some old school classics. Like I have Jurassic Park and Terminator 2 and Ghostbusters. Like that's kind of just like nostalgic stuff that I want to own. But some of the weirder stuff that I have I have a copy of The Last Unicorn, which I don't know if you've seen, but it's kind of scarring. It's kind of nightmare fuel. Um, it's a weird kids fantasy movie that was made with a huge budget in the 80s. Or was it the 80s or was it the 90s? 88. Yeah. I like this right here on the cover. It says 3 stars, says the New York Times. What does that mean? Don't you usually put like 4-star, 5-star reviews on the cover of your box? Um, yes, the unicorn is pretty, but this guy gave me nightmares for I don't know how many years. Yeah, so then I have a bunch of other stuff that I bought in California when I came out here. All the James Bond movies, not all of them. I don't own all of them. It's definitely more than 3 stars. Thank you. I agree. Uh, yeah, so I have a bunch of the old James Bond movies. I actually haven't seen all of them. I still have not watched License to Kill, which I've heard is one of the better Timothy Dalton ones. Uh, and I think it's You Only Live Twice that I haven't seen either. Is this the... No, this is Sean Connery. Maybe it's one of the George Lazenby Bond movies. I think there's... Oh, yeah, this one. Where he's on the Golden Gate Bridge. Roger Moore, that's who it is. He's fighting bad guys and saving chicks on the Golden Gate Bridge. How cool is that? Don't you? I mean, also this apparently belonged to someone because there's like a piece of an address label over here. But yeah, supposedly this one's really bad. But I enjoy that stuff. I also have a classic movie, like film aficionado classic, uh, Super Mario Brothers, the disastrous. I think it was like 92 or 93. 93. It came out the same year as Jurassic Park, which is really funny. It's a huge disaster. It's not a good movie by any stretch. Um, but it's fucking great also. Yeah. Oh, then I also have the original Mad Max, Alien, and Aliens 2, and a weird. Oh yeah, and Forbidden Planet. If you like classic sci-fi movies, it's really good. But a weird movie is Habitat, which came out like in the early to mid '90s, around the same time as a little movie called Species, which is when they were trying to like inject a little HBO sex appeal into all movies, and it's just a horrible movie. It's about an alien that comes to the planet to have sex, and that's it. So I'm gonna try to put some of these back because I actually do have some arrangement here. I do have Forbidden Planet. That's a good one. Yeah, my dad rented a lot of old like sci-fi movies and stuff. Oh shoot, I put this back wrong. I'm just gonna put this here for now. Uh, yeah, the original Forbidden Planet with Robbie the Robot and all that stuff. And Leslie Nielsen playing a straight man. This is also another one of those weird VHS boxes that is a little bit wider than the other ones. And so, yeah, um, it's yeah. So that's Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun. It came out in like 19. Oh boy, I think it says it on the box itself. Oh, it doesn't. 1956 is when this came out, which is crazy. Um, And yeah, good old Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun is in it in a rather serious role, and it's great. Oh my god, my whole collection is falling apart. I'm just gonna fix that later. So yeah, that's kind of the fun stuff that I have here. Oh yeah, so since we're talking about movies, I might as well also bring up my rather. Ugh, does it show Robbie holding the man or the woman? I don't think it shows any of that stuff on the box itself. Hold on. Oh shoot. So he's holding on to Leslie Nielsen there, as you can see. That's yeah. Um, hi. I'm waving to. Shoot, I'm so sorry. I can't remember her name now. I'm waving back though. Hi. So yeah, I have not only VHS tapes, which is already an outdated format, but I also have a ton of laser discs that I keep around because I think the sole purpose that I keep them around is I think they're really funny. Like you have like revolutionary Robbie the Robot is home on which. Yeah, I think Robbie the Robot was like correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was a like a just a like a neutral character that kind of that like turns evil at one point with his reprogramming or something because he always got to do that in the movies. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, I find laser discs hilarious because they're essentially gigantic CDs. Look at these, like this. I have a player, but I haven't. There's a piece missing from it. It needs to be cleaned, so I haven't been able to find a place that'll fix it for me, which is a bummer. But yeah, I have Chinatown, the original The Thing, which is the 57, 50, 51? Sometime in the 50s, The Thing from the 1950s, the black and white one. So before the Kurt Russell? Is it Kurt Russell? Also have Jumanji. Well, so the laser discs themselves, like I said, I haven't been able to play them because the player that I have has a part that's not working, and it's really hard to find replacement pieces for it. So that's a bummer. And from what I understand, from what I've seen of like scans and stuff of laser discs, they're only slightly better. Okay, good. It is Kurt Russell. I didn't misspeak. That's good. It's only slightly better than VHS. It's not that much different. And my limited experience with them has been that the usage of them, like the actual devices, the remotes and stuff, are really hard to use. I also have Jumanji. I saw this for $1 at a Goodwill. Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3, which, come on, like everyone knows that is the best Superman. Hey man, how's it going? I've also got Terminator 2. Like this is, supposedly there's, this is one of the only pressings of the movie that has there's like a minute or something edited out somewhere in the middle, and this is the actual like full uncut movie, but I can't verify that because I haven't watched it. because I can't. I don't have the player. The player's not working. Got cliffhanger. Also, as a reminder, so my video, what you're seeing, what you guys are seeing, is backwards, right? Like you're seeing stuff backwards, I think. So all this stuff, like cliffhanger, is Ragnaflik Filk. Ragnaflik? I don't know. Sorry about that. I've got this movie that scarred me as well as many other children, I'm sure. Reservoir Dogs. I have a bunch of Star Trek movies too. Yeah, I've got Star Trek 2, 3, 4, and 6 on Laserdisc. I don't think I have the other ones. I think I'm missing at least one. Why is Ben cackling? What does he find so funny about all this? This is the new world, man. We have to go back to how things worked before with a dash of, I don't know, Skype. Just gonna move this so it doesn't fall. I also have Life Force, which if you haven't seen it, it's a super big budget sci-fi movie from the 80s, directed by Tobe Hooper, who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he tried to make like a super big budget movie. Hey Jay, good to see you. He tried to make a big budget movie, and he did it with Canon Films. It was originally made with Canon Films, and Canon Films is known for making like schlock. I think I have a couple Canon Film laser discs here. But if you haven't seen Life Force, you should. It's very good. It's kind of out there and wild. You don't really see. Yes, Life Force is the one with the hot naked chick that's naked for the entire movie, and it's about vampires in space. I mean, what else? Do you need? Stephanie Meyer's got nothing on Life Force. Check it out if you haven't seen it. No Laserdisc collection would be complete without terrible 80s action movies. So I've got Chuck Norris in Silent Rage. I have not seen this one, but I've seen it on YouTube a few times. I know it's out there. This one I just like the title of, and it has two heavyweights in it for me, 80s heavyweights. So you got Chuck Norris and David Carradine, who, if you have not seen, I think Kung Fu, I think the show was, in the 90s. It was just David Carradine pretending he knew Kung Fu, but he was really just drunk all the time, and it was great. Nick Nolte's attempt at being an action hero under fire. It's pretty great. Like in the way that it's not great, it's bad. Oh yeah, this is gonna excite some people. Lone Wolf McQuaid, yeah. But can you? I mean, Jay, you must know that you must know the story here. David Carradine kind of went off a deep end towards the end of his career. It's a little bit sad, but also his movies later in his life were really great in that they were just terrible schlock. This one excited me when I found it because I hadn't seen it anywhere really. I think I found this at St. Vincent de Paul in San Francisco. Aliens on Laserdisc. Good find. What I understand, there's some stuff in here that is not on the DVD. Again, I can't watch it because I don't have a Laserdisc player, unfortunately. Cinema Paradiso still in the package. Also, super exciting find for me. There is a price tag on here from Tower Records. So this is probably where it was sold brand new in the packaging and stuff. Um, can you guess how much this cost when it was like first out? There's probably a delay, so you probably won't be able to guess before I answer you. But anyway, the sticker price from Tower Records is $49.95. Like, yeah, no wonder this format didn't go anywhere. I have a copy of Aliens 3. This is an interesting... shoot, where is it? Okay, yeah. So this is an interesting movie. Because this is made by David Fincher, who has made a bunch of crazy stuff. You guys may know him from... Fincher made The Social Network, I think, right? Social Network. And a bunch of other, like, really classic movies. Yeah, I know, Laserdiscs are so expensive when they were new, but now I can get them for like $1. And I can't imagine... I mean, they look great on a wall. Like, look at how big this thing is. So anyway, this movie's interesting because David Fincher tried to make it like a religious... When did I say Alien 3 didn't exist? Oh yeah, well, because it's not a very good movie, but it's an interesting movie. It's because David Fincher tried to do like a weird religious rebirth of Christ type of telling with Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, and it just came out really silly and long and drawn out, and the CGI looks terrible. Even then, it didn't look good. It was horrible, yeah. All right, my last two Laserdiscs that I have down here. I have Raiders of the Lost Ark. And The Last Crusade. I'm still trying to find a Temple of Doom, but I've not had any luck there. I need to put a couple of these back, otherwise my books are gonna tip over on my shelf. Yeah, I wish I could find that, so I would love to add that to my collection. Okay, that's okay for now. Yeah, so I'm trying to find Temple of Doom. I'd love to find the other Star Trek movies, but I did see Star Wars: A New Hope before it had the episode title. It was just Star Wars. It wasn't Episode 4: A New Hope. It was just like this. It was like this. So it was before they really decided like to go all out with making it like a series. And I saw Star Wars on Laserdisc. It pretty much had the same artwork. I saw it at a store, and I was gonna get it, but they wanted something like $200 for it on Laserdisc. And I was just like, yeah, there's better ways I could spend my money right now. So since we're still talking about movies and stuff, you know, that's pretty much all we've been talking about so far. I have a bunch of old... I have a bunch of art books that I collect about different film directors and that sort of thing, and they include, you know, publicity photos and original artwork and that sort of thing. A couple of them I'm really excited about. Some of them you may have seen, and some of them I don't think you have seen because they're pretty hard to find, and or they're kind of expensive. The main one that I had was a gift. The other ones are not quite as rare. So I have the Wes Anderson collection, which has a bunch of still images and stuff, production stills from the making of several of his movies. Shoot, where is it? So like a bunch of Polaroids, the Darjeeling Limited. Ugh. All that stuff is fun. It's kind of fun, nerdy stuff, but it goes through all of his films. I think my favorite section in here is probably the section on Fantastic Mr. Fox. If you haven't seen that, you definitely should. It's a claymation film, entirely shot on really old Ariflex cameras. Crazy detailed clay models, like that. Just awesome stuff. Great references, great interviews and stuff with the filmmaker and the different people that worked on it. He's talking about how they made this awesome movie. Yeah, if you haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, see it. In a similar, I think it's from the same publisher actually, but I also have a book on the Coen brothers, which I like the Coen brothers. I really like True Blood. I can just, it'll tell me just by flipping through the book what it is, what movie it is. Obviously, The Big Lebowski is amazing. Fargo. Yeah, Fargo is one of my favorite Coen Brothers films. Okay, so now we're getting to some of the more serious, serious collectible books here. So this is a Stanley Kubrick archive. Covers his entire career. It's a really large book. It's very heavy. Not as large as the next one I'm going to show you, but I'll get to that in a second. I think my favorite Coen Brothers movie is probably Fargo. Just because I grew up in Wisconsin, and there's a lot of similarities in terms of like the type of people you meet way far up north and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's very it's very accurate from what I've experienced growing up. So anyway, the Stanley Kubrick book, it's a similar thing in terms that it goes through all of his films, and it shows like different stills and production photos from the movie, from each movie. It's got one of the coolest, I don't know what you call it, like a binder page or a backing page. That's just tons of his film canisters from when he worked on the different movies and that sort of thing. So awesome. And I'm really glad that we don't shoot film anymore. Okay. Here's another big one that's fairly hard to find. I got it for a birthday gift, I think last year, because I've been looking at it for a long time, and I haven't worked up the guts to buy it yet. So anyway, this is Ralph McQuarrie's Star Wars art book, which has all the original Star Wars stuff. There's definitely a delay on this video. I think my favorite Kubrick film, I actually haven't seen all of them, believe it or not, but The Shining. Like, yeah, I think it's The Shining, and then Full Metal Jacket. I think those are my favorite ones. Hey Ron, how's it going? So anyway, this Star Wars concept art books plural. There's more than one in the collection, and it has all these great drawings. It's all there's no photographs in the books. It's all, boy, it's hard to even lift this to show you, but I'll try. All these crazy drawings and stuff and different concept works for each movie up to Return of the Jedi. It's super cool. I love it. Oops, sorry about that. So that's like some of my favorite nerd stuff that I have around. So then, yeah, like I've got all this stuff, and then if we kind of move back to, if we can back off a little bit and make this about me. After all, this is about me. You guys are watching me stream live right now. Sorry, that was mean. Kind of a dick thing to say. So I have all these other photography books that are behind me and like on the shelf in front of me that I was showing before. I'm gonna get back to some of that. This is this is this may look familiar to some of you. This is my book, the first 10 years, the test copy, the review copy that I got, that I had to write on and mark everything in terms of like what was going to be changed. I had to note everything to show to redesign and that sort of thing, like all this stuff. You know, I'm not playing guitar as much as I used to, and I want to get back to it, but it hasn't been a priority. And it's like I have time right now, but it's not in the right place for me right now to get back to it. Obviously, I still have my guitar, my acoustic at least. I sold 2 of my electric guitars a couple of years ago. One before I moved to California, and then one after I moved to California. All right. Is it still possible to get the first 10 years? Yeah, so that book is still, I can send you the link afterwards. So this particular book, it's kind of expensive with the size of it. I am currently working on a different book that's going to focus on, was it 2016 or 2014 through 2024. So we just cover, like, this book covers 2004 to 2014. I want to cover 2015 to 2025 in a new book, and it's probably going to be, let's see, do I have it somewhere? It's probably going to be smaller, a bit more manageable. I can put the link for this book in the comments after this, just so that if you guys want to pick it up, you can. Just so you know, again, it's a little expensive, and also I don't see looking at it good or bad. I'm not trying to, get anything out of you guys, but like, I don't receive a lot of money from that book, so I don't feel like it's like you're letting me down for not buying it or anything like that. Like, I only see a couple bucks from that book. Because the size is so the size and the printing type, the printing specs make it so that I would make very little money on buying it. I think the book sells for about $120, so don't feel bad if you decide not to get it. Like, don't feel guilty. Not only do I not see much money for it or anything like that, but also I know it's expensive. And then my next book, which I'm going to call The Next 10 Years, is going to be much cheaper. Like, I'm going to shoot for around 50 or 60 bucks. And it's also going to be same concept, 10 years with all the work that I've done the last 10 years since 2014. Okay. Yes, so I will put a link for that book in the comments in this video after we're done streaming. I can do it right now. So I'm going to talk. Oh boy, I have a pile of stuff already over here. So yeah, I don't know if I think I started to talk about David LaChapelle a little bit ago. He is this crazy ad photographer from like, he did a lot of work in New York, but he didn't live there. I think he was like one of the few working photographers that kind of had like a celebrity lifestyle. Like they had houses in different cities, and like he wouldn't get out of bed to go work on a shoot unless he was getting paid like 50 grand a day. Like it's fucking crazy. And his images were insane, like insanely memorable. Lots of inspiration from oh wow, there's a lot of people tuning in. Hey Ron, yeah, I saw you before come in, but I haven't. It's been kind of choppy. Sorry. Hey Will and Emily and probably Angel, I'm assuming. So the different types of stuff that he worked on a lot of like pop culture and like celebrity stuff. And so he has all these crazy images. You probably can't see all of it, but like you get the idea. Just these crazy setups that he does. Oh good, I'm glad Angel is there. Photoshoot of Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny by LaChapelle. I think that's in here. I think he photographed them. Oh yeah, so I'm on my phone, Ron. I'm on my phone, and so I see the comments pop up on my screen. It's just very subtle, so I'm sorry if I miss your chats. I miss them all the time. Yeah, LaChapelle did a lot of sort of controversial images. Like there's a lot of nudity in his stuff, which isn't like crazy or anything like that. But he would do nudity of like well-known actresses and people that weren't normally seen in that way. And he did a lot of out there stuff. Like if you look at his books, you see a picture like this, and it's like this guy is crazy. Like what is it? Like, do you know how much it cost? He had to build, at least part of that set. Obviously, the destroyed building is probably already there. Okay, so I'm trying to find a photo of Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. I'm pretty sure that's in here. Here's a good one. I wonder if Facebook can like get me in trouble on here, like I'm showing copywritten images. Even though I guess, would that be what's the term, fair use? Would that be fair use? I'm not even sure. It's a great picture of Eminem. Good stuff. Yeah, lots of nudity. Sorry, this is kind of boring. This is the part where I just flip through the book and try and find the thing that I'm thinking about and someone else had mentioned. This portrait of Jerry Springer always cracked me up. So good. Kate, if I don't find this picture of it you're talking about, you should share it in the comments. You should comment them because, like, I'm sure people would want to see that. Yeah, I'm not seeing Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny here. Although I can imagine what he did with that. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's not in here, not in this one. Yeah, so look at the link that Kate shared, you guys, because it's probably I'm pretty sure La Chapelle did these photos of David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson from the X-Files. And so cheers, thanks, Kate. All right, what else? My legs are starting to hurt because, like, I'm sitting on the floor right now in front of my bookshelf because I thought this is the most interesting background, like, because I was like, oh, where do I, film this? Where do I go? And I was like, oh, I could sit at my desk, but that's boring. So I'm streaming on my phone, sitting on the floor in front of my couch I'm leaning against my bookshelf. It's a narrow, very narrow space. For those of you that have been to my house, it's a very narrow space, my office. So anyway, oh God, my body hurts. So I'm gonna do something here. Ugh. All right. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to, I think this is still plugged in. Yep, it's still plugged in. I'm going to put on some Royal Jelly Jive. Royal Jelly Jive is a local band. Turn that down a little bit. All right. Oh God, hey Gordy. Welcome to the completely unplanned disaster that is this, most likely. Good night, Des. Say hi to the kids for me. Hey, Jordan. So, I mean, since we're listening to a record right now, why don't we look at some of my records that I have? This is show and tell. Like, that's what this is. All right, so here what we're listening to right now is Royal Jelly Jive. They're not a super. They're local. Like, it's not that they're super well known or not. They're just local. So you probably won't find their stuff like in a local record store. You probably have to order online. They're called Royal Jelly Jive. My friend used to play with them for a while, and then they did some shows down here, which we went to. And I guess Lauren booked them for an event one time and had a good time with them. So, Neutral Milk Hotel. Oh yeah, an original pressing of The Wall. Just super. I think I got this when I was living in Green Bay. Just amazing stuff. This is a double album. John Denver. Very nostalgic for me. Tom Waits. This is one of his older albums, not one of his newer ones. Small Change. Good album. Good listen. Original copy of Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here." So it's it's exciting enough that I was able to find that on vinyl in a Goodwill, but the reason why I didn't pay. It wasn't like a super expensive record, but it cost more than the other ones. Like the other ones were like $2.50, and this one was like $10 or something. And so like I got this one mainly because it included the postcard. From what I understand, this is really rare, really hard to find. The unmarked postcard. That's super exciting that I was able to get that. Someone missed out. Hey Kevin, glad you could make it. I hope someone else is drinking. I don't want to be the only one having a drink right now. All right, what else we got? We have the Ghostbusters soundtrack. I mean, there's not much to say about that. Just it's the soundtrack to Ghostbusters. It's a great movie. Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. Some of you may not know that, like in the I think it was the 70s or 60s, Orson Welles went on radio and like read about he read War of the Worlds on the radio, and people thought there was an actual invasion going on of sorts. Oh, good. I'm glad someone else is drinking. I'm not the only one. So. I have Godspeed You Black Emperor's F sharp, A sharp Infinity, of course. More Godspeed You Black Emperor. Yeah, and then this is more Godspeed You Black Emperor. You know, you can drink water. That's fine. Ron, do you really think it was that long ago, the 30s or 40s? I want to... Now that you brought that up, I'm going to take a look. So, let's see. The actual broadcast by the Mercury Theater on the air. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. So, Orson Welles read... this is a recording of the actual broadcast by the Mercury Theater on the air as heard over the Columbia Broadcasting System, October 30th, 1938. The most thrilling drama ever broadcast from the Howard Koch script. Yeah, that was a pretty great find. This was another like a used store find, Goodwill find. More Godspeed. Godspeed You Black Emperor is probably one of my favorite bands of all time. More Godspeed. This is Heat Miser, which maybe some of you guys might know. I'd say more of you are likely to know oh man, where is it? Okay, so some of you probably know Elliott Smith, a really great acoustical musician, rock musician in the early 2000s and 90s. So this album, Heat Miser, is actually the band that he had before he did it solo. And it's a good record, I think. This is, I think, a 38. And I think it's a good record, but it's definitely very small. Like their discography, their music is very small. It's a lot more punk rock than what he does. In like I don't know, like I want to say they're definitely more pop punk than Elliott Smith. Oh boy, that's a tough one because Ellie Smith is pretty pop punk. Um, I don't know. It's weird. All right, then we have How the Grinch Stole Christmas, read by, I think Boris Karloff reads it. Boris Karloff did the original voiceover for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which I have right here on VHS. Oh yeah. So another exciting find that I have is I actually have Dark Side of the Moon. This is one of the handful selections. Thank you guys. Thank you, Emily. Of all the records I have, I don't keep everything in sleeves. I keep this one in a sleeve. Yeah, it's the original record. All the lyrics are still in there. Super exciting. And I found this at like a mom and pop shop for like $3. So I definitely got on that immediately and bought it. Boy, that's tough to get back in the sleeve though. I should just throw it in the garbage because I can't get it back in the sleeve, so let's get a new one. Original pressing of The Doors' first album. Another good find. I found this thing in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I lived there. Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a really fun one. So my favorite, hold on, oh boy, from each album, Emily, geez, that's a lot of questions to ask me. Yeah, so I think my favorite album probably is The Wall. Wish You Were Here. So I've listened to that the most, so that's probably a little biased. I mean, Wish You Were Here in general is a classic song, but Money is amazing. Like, take your pick, like from a lot of Pink Floyd stuff. And then also some of the solo albums are some really great stuff too. See, Ben, you were asking, or you're saying, now I'm just imagining Kool and the Gang followed by Orson Welles. That is, yeah, that's a good thought. More Tom Waits, this is a newer album, Bad As Me. More John Denver. Yeah. Cheap Thrills. It's a good find. Bon Iver for Emma Forever Ago, great album. I used to be really into Bon Iver, but I haven't listened to him in a while. So when I was younger, my grandfather he had like a tape collection, like 8 tracks and that sort of thing, that he kind of kept around the house. And one thing that I listened to quite a bit when I was a kid at their house was The Ventures. Really fun, like surf rock band. This is another thing that I bought when I was living on my own in Green Bay. Bert and Ernie's Sing Along. I would just get really high and put this on, and it was great. We had a record player in my basement. Josh and John would come over, and they would see stuff like that. And we would listen to Bert and Ernie and Pink Floyd and all that stuff. Cat Stevens. I think what's that album called? Teaser and the Fire Cat. It's a good album. Oh yeah, this will get some people super excited. Do any of you know what album could this be? There's nothing. It's just a white paper. Oh yeah, it's the White Album. I found this in a tiny record store, a tiny used store. in Green Bay, and I was selling for like $4, and I was like, I think I've ever seen an original pressing of the White Album um, really anywhere. So the cool part about this is it still has like all the old promotional material. Yeah, it has all that stuff. So that's really cool. I have a couple smaller albums too. I'll get them out of the way before, like a couple like singles and 45s and that sort of thing. I have Division Day, Elliott Smith. I have a lot of Elliott Smith stuff because I'm really big into Elliott Smith. Speed Trials. More Elliott Smith. I have an original, a limited pressing by Mono, which is a Japanese post-rock band. Memory del Futuro. Oh yeah. So this is, I haven't actually listened to this one. When Pea Pickers Get Together, I think it was, because if you look at this guy, he looks like the green bean pea man from like canned goods and stuff like that. Maybe we'll put that on. 33 and a third. Yeah, so just kind of a weird single. I mean, like it's barely a single. There's like nothing on there. Okay, then we have Journey's Escape album. Green Giant, thank you. Yes, that is correct. I don't know. What am I, 100 years old? I don't. Thanks, guys. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed. I will be better. I will get my facts straight before I do a live stream randomly sitting in front of my record collection. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I have Elliott Smith's Figure 8. Also classic stuff. More Elliott Smith, EXO, or not EXO, either or. If you're into progressive metal, or I guess you would call it new metal. I don't like that term because I don't like a lot of bands associated with that term. But I have Mastodon's Blood Mountain album on vinyl. Got that at a show that I saw them at many years ago. More Godspeed You Black Emperor. more Beatles. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. It's good stuff. Also an original pressing, I think. I've done a little research, and it looks like all my Beatles stuff is original, which is exciting. And the fact that I got them for so cheap is more exciting. Oh yeah, Snoopy's Christmas album. It's weird because for a while there were a couple Snoopy, like Peanuts, Charlie Brown records, and this is one of them. And you'll notice that he's like nowhere on the artwork here, like at all. I don't know where he is. So that's kind of weird. Oh yeah, Al Jolson. He is a he is a crooner from the oh boy, the 30s. Anyway, that's a white guy. He's wearing blackface. I feel like I have to whisper that. So, you know, it's like any sort of history. It's like kind of a complicated thing. But like, my dad had a couple of these records when he was growing up because his dad. So we're talking like the early 1900s at this point. Um, his dad would listen to like you would listen to Al Jolson, and it's just kind of a interesting thing. And I kept this record just to have. Oh yeah, thank you, Ron. Yeah, he was. Yes, what's that? Do you know what that movie is called? If you can tell us, that would be good because I'm curious. Because he did have a cultural impact, of course. He's racy now these days, especially with stuff like that. Yeah, more Al Jolson. And then the Exodus soundtrack. So that's kind of exhausted all a lot of my nerd stuff. Yeah, it's a very strange collection for sure. I just kind of take what I can get, really. It's a combination of my collection is a combination of like stuff that I had growing up, and then like stuff that I have wanted to find now that I've grown up. So like, you know, John Denver and like Al Jolson, that sort of thing. Like my dad and my parents had as a kid, and so I wanted to either find those or like they had it in storage somewhere and I got it later. And then some of this other stuff like Pink Floyd, I wanted to get on vinyl if I could find it, and I've had a bit of luck. So. All right, so I might just, you know, because we're still hanging out still. Maybe I guess I can just get up and show you stuff. I recently did a video where I shot a bunch of stuff on large, medium format film, 120 millimeter film. And so that's not the oldest stuff that I have. Give me a second. So this is probably the oldest camera that I currently own. I think it's an Argus C3. I think that's what it was. Yeah, Argus C3. And this is like a very old school camera here. Boy. So you actually need a can opener, I think, to open this guy. There we go. So it's still a 35 millimeter camera, but you actually have to unwind the whole film and wrap it around a spool that would go over here. And no modern film that we have today would fit in this camera. unfortunately. I've looked for a lot of this stuff and have had very little luck. All right, so then I have a Model 95 Polaroid land camera, complete with the bellows. Shoot, I forget how you. There we go. So this was supposed to be like a compact type of camera, but it's, I mean, compared to today, that's like laughable, right? Because, you know, now you just pull out your phone, right? Like you just like whip, I can't pull out my phone because I'm recording with my phone, but you'd whip it out, take a picture, but with this camera, you gotta like lift this thing, reset, all this stuff. Yeah, pretty fun stuff. I have a lot of love for these types of old cameras. I know you can still get the process of the film for it, but you can't get the magazines for it anymore. You can still get the paper and the negative material and the chemicals, but you can't get the actual film stock for it anymore, which is a bummer, because I would love to shoot something on this Model 95 land camera. That's nerdy cool. Yeah, thank you. I'm super nerdy, and apparently when I bend over like this, that makes me feel really old. You guys have probably seen my medium format cameras, my RZ67s and all that stuff, but I have a bunch of old video cameras as well, including this Kodachrome like movie camera. Takes Super 8mm film, which you load into, I think, the side. Obviously, I've never used this camera because they don't make the film for it anymore. But you would load your film into here. And film like this. And you would press the record button, which is right here. The battery still works in it. Super fun find. And then speaking of Super 8 cameras, I also have this old Chinon 213 XL, which used to have a battery in it like the other one, so it would like still the motors would still turn, but the battery has since died. So, you know, that's cool. Whatever. Anyway, this is unique, and I got this one because not only is it a handheld camera, which a lot of the old consumer cameras had, but it actually has a zoom lens as well, which you don't see a lot of older cameras that have that feature. It's not very much. Like it's like a 10mm zoom. It's not very much. And then the other cool guy that I have is this auto-loading power Zoom 8 from Yashica. Also has a zoom lens on it, as you can see. Maybe you can't see that, I don't know. It's a similar tool. It takes Super 8 film. You can open it up right here on the side to load in some film. And so that's the kind of stuff that, you know, occupies my time. So yeah. We've been going for like an hour or something now, right? Oh shit, an hour and 20 minutes, wow. So I think I'm kind of done showing off stuff for now. I'm glad you guys came over and said hi. Just, you know, doing nerdy stuff, trying to stay on top of my reading and my inspiration and doing work, and I appreciate you guys showing appreciation for the fact that I'm doing stuff in the photo studio and showing interest in work, and you just gotta kind of stay engaged. So that's my inspirational talk for the day. But thanks for tuning in. I don't really know what the next thing I want to do is. It'll be something. Maybe something similar. Maybe we'll just hang out more. We can go through my Nerf gun collection. I have a bunch of Nerf guns. Anyway, have I gone fishing before? Yes, when I was like 13. So it's been a while. Why? Do you want to go fishing? Like, is that a thing you want to do? I don't know why you'd want to do it, because it's not very fun, honestly. Thanks for watching, Kate and Ben, I assume, probably. Yeah, fishing is overrated. Don't be sucked into the romanticize. You have to get up super early, like 3 o'clock in the morning early. You gotta be quiet and not talk. Which, you know, that sounds awesome, but when you're exhausted in the morning and you're actively doing something and trying to not fall asleep, it's not as much fun. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off, guys. I appreciate you watching, and go have your own happy hour. Go have another drink, and thanks for tuning in. And Kate, yes, you're trying to say nerding. I understand. All right, bye, guys. Thank you.